Hello and welcome to the last word on Spurs. Now, listen, don't adjust your microphones. Well, I'll tell you what's happened. Ricky's been sacked, okay? Like Jose Mourinho just before a final. So think of me as the Ryan Mason of last word on Spurs. Ricky will be back with us in a few moments. He's had a bit of a technical nightmare. So, listen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again. We're all over the place this evening. I'm hosting. It's going to be chaos, but Ricky will be back very, very shortly. So this just leaves me to have to introduce this evening's guest, which is myself, because Ricky is going to be back. And making her debut this evening is the very lovely Christina Zandes. Christina, how are you?
Hiya, I'm good. I'm excited. A little nervous, but excited.
Oh, don't be nervous at all. So listen, if you're nervous, I'm trying to host this. Imagine how I feel, because it was only 10 seconds ago. Rick went, "You're hosting. See you in a minute." So, and joining us as well. Oh, tell you what. Listen, if you was to put your head over like this and pour liquid honey in your ear, it wouldn't be any sweeter than the dulcet tones of the legend that is Russ Williams. Russ, how are you?
I'm very good, Crackers, and welcome, Christina. It is funny, the chaos that we've had behind the scenes on this show, isn't it? I mean, he's been texting us all day, changing the lineup. There's people who are not well. Frankie Major's gone to pick his sister up from the airport in a shock emergency move and get slammed for £7 just for pulling up to pick her up. That's how much it costs now. Ricky's microphone isn't working, but like Spurs, we keep going. We suffer together.
Exactly.
A lot.
I'm great. Thank you.
Exactly. Now, if you can just all pull together and get something on the road and go and get 3 points like we're doing this evening until Ricky gets back, we're doing okay. So listen, let me remind you that we're right across the socials on @lastwordonspurs. I think we're on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, Mumsnet, MySpace. We're on the lot. So join us on there, putting plenty of content out. So this evening we're going to be looking back at Tottenham away at Forest. Tricky old game, that one. And then, of course, looking forward to Wednesday. Christina, let me ask you, West Ham. For me, today's done. West Ham. Now, I come from a part of London, and I think this is maybe a little bit of geographical. Where you come from kind of dictates who you really don't like. And as a kid, I'd done a lot of my growing up in Romford. Now, that's properly West Ham stronghold. So the West Ham, they are Arsenal just a little bit above on that rivalry. So I'm now all eyes on West Ham next week. So I'll pick your brains a little bit about West Ham and your rivalry and feelings on them.
I'm nervous after today's performance. I'm a little bit nervous now. No, I do you know what it is? It's the sheer embarrassment. I don't want to lose to West Ham because, in my opinion, they're not really anything to us at the moment. They shouldn't be. They've been appalling, I think, as well, this start of the season. But wow, I mean, today's game, it was like a roller coaster. And the first thought in my head was, we've got West Ham away on Wednesday. So, yeah, I want us to absolutely, beat them. But at the same time, I'm so nervous because I just hope he gets it right, the lineup. After today, he should have realised a hell of a lot. I mean, I don't know if we're obviously going to have a discussion about it, but yeah, I just really hope Conte's eyes open today because Richarlison absolutely turned the game again. So yeah.
More on him later. Russ, for you, growing up as a lad, and I don't know if you're of a similar vintage to but has it always been Arsenal for yourself, or is there any team other than them that sort of gets to you? Oh, here he is. He's back. Rick's back.
I tell you. Yeah, someone do a VAR check. Jesus Christ, I think we've had. I tell you. If they can do it from
Rick, you're not hosting this show until I'm finished because I'm midway through something here.
Yes.
Please crack on. Please do me a favour.
To answer your question, all my mum, my dad, and all my immediate family come from Walthamstow, Chingford, that part of London. I was born in Blackpool, Lytham St Anne's, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and so my first experience of football, after being told that I was going to be a Tottenham fan by my dad, because that's what happens, was actually going to watch Blackpool when I was a little kid in the old First Division. Against the Man Uniteds of this world and Tottenham's and Chopper Harris and Peter Osgood and all that lot. So that was my first experience of live football. But whenever we came down to London, it was straight down the lane. And, I've been indoctrinated from when I came out of the placenta, I think. And that was it. You are a Spurs fan. And so there you go. So I never had to grow up in my formative years in London near people who support Arsenal or West Ham or Chelsea. So no, never had to put up with them. Thank God.
So super stuff. My dad's family all out of Walthamstow, and I've lived Chingford, lived Walthamstow. So
Whips Cross, very close to there.
That's it. Yeah, my dad was born just off the high street, Walthamstow High Street. Anyway, I'm waffling, and I've managed to fill for nearly 8 minutes, Rick. 8 minutes.
Have you done Forest already for me? Yeah, have you done it?
It's all done, Rick. Yeah, I mean, let's just go straight to the shit quiz. It's all done.
Oh, please, Rick, can we go with the day I've had? Can we go straight to the shit quiz? I must just say,
ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the one and only guest in this evening, because this is now my podcast, Ricky Sachs.
I won't let you laugh. I know everyone thinks behind the scenes, Last Word on Spurs is very professional. It's run all. I tell you, we had a cast obviously at 9:30 this morning, which has changed significantly. But one man still standing is the wonderful Russ Williams, who I hope Russ won't mind me saying I've cost him his golf session today, and he's just thought, oh God, I'm back here. So Russ, thank you so much for coming on Last Word on Spurs. Always a pleasure.
Well, you were chasing me down.
Harassing, Russ, harassing.
Anybody who plays golf will tell you don't have your phone where you can see it. It's too much of a distraction. But I felt this sort of buzzing in my back pocket. And I thought, I wonder what that is. And it was you. And after I replied to you, I hit the ball from the center of the fairway, almost out of bounds, Ricky, again.
Please accept my apologies, Russ. Russ going to come on twice a season now due to the golfing effect. We don't bring his handicap down too bad. So lovely to have the brilliant Russ Williams here from talkSPORT. Also delighted to be making a debut this evening. We're delighted to welcome Christina Zandes to the show. Christina, how are you?
Yeah, all good. I'm good. I feel settled in already.
Don't panic. We've got 40 questions on style of play, so I'm sure we'll be absolutely fine. What's there to worry about? And saving my bacon yet again, as he's done for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know how many years. The wonderful Mr. Cracknell, Richard Cracknell's in the house. Rich, thank you so much as always, mate. You're a diamond.
Ricky, just edit the first 8 minutes out. It'll be fine. When it goes to the pod, and it will just look absolutely seamless. I'm very well, Rick. Rick, how are you?
I tell you, the day this has been, I've glanced and watched the game, but honestly, isn't it nice to come back and talk about a win, even though I know there's so many talking points, which we'll definitely get into. But behind the scenes, Last Word on Spurs, it looks like maybe look like a really professional outfit for some, probably isn't, but it's been absolutely chaotic today. So we've got a wonderful panel, and we are talking about another win for Antonio Conte's Tottenham. But before we do get right into that, you know what's coming. And one of the men on here has got his beaming face on this lovely little ad we're going to be putting up here. We are delighted to be sponsored by the Beavertown Corner Pin. And that is the Beavertown Bang opposite your South stand at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. we are delighted to announce we have got a live show coming your way. If we can find the mic, if we can find the guests, if we can find the talking points, we'll be trying to do a live show at some point. I'm sure that'll go down well. They've, of course, showing many live televised screenings down at Beavertown this season. The next one on the agenda will be just a small task of Manchester City away for Antonio Conte's men. And you can book your spot right now for that televised event by going to www.beavertownbrewery.co.uk/pages/corner-pin. Right. It is time to get down to business. 15, 20 minutes late. What's the difference on Last Word on Spurs? We always seem to be fashionably late on this show. And we'll start with Russ. Bearing in mind, I've absolutely ruined his day in between. Russ, Spurs, we get off to a 2-0 win at the City ground.
Yes.
A really tough test overall for Spurs. But look, another 3 points on the board. Spurs now unbeaten in their last 10 Premier League games under Antonio Conte, dating back to the 16th of April last season. Happy overall, Russ, for you?
Well, I'm not happy that in every game this season we've started very, very slowly. And after the games, the players come out and Conte comes out and says, yes, it was a slow start, but then second half, we're good, And a Wagyu steak, that's a good idea for you.
Just as Brian Hill goes out the door.
Obviously, I'm happy with the win. I found the commentary extraordinary. 20 seconds into the game, Jamie Carragher says, Nottingham Forest have started this game really strongly. 20 seconds. Jeepers. I mean, we weren't great, but they weren't Brazil. And I'm telling you now, they're not going to score enough goals, Nottingham Forest, to stay in the Premier League. Absolutely certain of it, unless something happens between now and the end of the window. It's all very well playing nice little football at home, great support, but they're not going to stay up. And, we did a professional job on them today, better in the second half. I have big concerns about passing. We don't seem to be able to do it very well at the moment for some reason. Even Conte mentioned that after the show. And, as good as it was to see Sonny really fed up, I think he's going to have a little look at himself. He's a really important player at the club, but Richarlison is the game changer in the last 2 games. And it makes you wonder against West Ham whether he may start with Richarlison instead of Son. And, it's what we want, competition. And but we need to play better. There's no doubt about it. But we keep winning. And, we're in a cost of living crisis. But for a lot of our brethren, I think we're suffering a little bit from a cost of winning crisis, because at the end of the day, that is what Tottenham Hotspur Football Club are doing. They're winning games. They're not like the old days when we played brilliantly for a game and a half and glorious failure. We've got a serious manager now who just wants to win. And that is the game that we're in. Now, people obviously have their opinions whether that's a good thing or not. The way that we play football, the way that one of the greatest coaches in the world sets us up, whether we've got the personnel, that is a completely different debate, but maybe we'll come on to it later. But I can understand why Spurs fans, who we like a certain type of football, but maybe we can't have everything, are getting a little bit frustrated on what they're seeing. I do get it, but I think it's the price for winning and hopefully winning a trophy and being winners.
It's a really interesting point, Russ. I'm definitely going to discuss the style of play because, again, it's come up in so many of our listener questions. I think you guys, I've always said this to you on the show that, normally when Spurs win, we get only about 8 or 9 listener questions. Today, Spurs have won 2-0 against Forest. And it's, again, as we've said, as we've seen on the screen here, comments-wise for Tottenham, it's 10 points out of a possible 12. Still Spurs unbeaten in the 2022-23 season. And yet we've got, 30, 40 questions on the style of play. So we are going to have to bring it up. Before we do, let's come over to you, Rich. Spurs winning 2-0. We are up to 3rd. Again, as we've said, not a vintage performance, but another clean sheet. A result that, again, I think many will go to Forest and really struggle there this season. We have to, again, echo the fact Forest were, I think, unbeaten and they've won their last 8 at the City ground. We saw West Ham go there and struggle. They're not a side that can see many goals at the Forest ground, so it's been a real fortress for them. And you would imagine if they're going to stay in this league, that ground is going to be pivotal for them to do so. But as I mentioned, Spurs still unbeaten in 22-23, and we've made our best start to a Premier League campaign. For I know you described me off air just how mad I was looking. Harry Redknapp, the last time we played that well under Harry 13 years ago. So what have you made overall of the result today, coupled with the performance?
Steroids, Rick. Tottenham are steroids. You've got a manager now, Conte. He is Jose, whichever part of the world you're from, and Poch on steroids. Richarlison, he's Lamella, but on steroids. The ground that we play in now is White Hart Lane on steroids. So everything now has just been put up a notch. And it just, look, during the game, you saw on our little WhatsApp group, we was all like, us old boys were moaning, this performance is this performance is that. Now, I've had a little hour just to decompress, just to think about things. It's 3 points in the bag, Rick. We've done it. It's not an easy place to go, as Russ said. That's going to be a tough place to go. West Ham struggled there. A lot of teams are going to struggle to go there. They're newly promoted, and make no doubt about it, they are a big club. Forget where they've been in leagues and over the last 22 years. I think it was 1999 we last played them. Cloughie's last game where they won. Now we play them 22, 23 years later, and we've gone now and we've actually got a win. So it wasn't pretty, but we've gone now and got a win, and we're pegging along in third. And this is now the games that we've had versus Chelsea away, where we normally get absolutely tonked, and we've managed to somehow get a draw. Wolves last week, we wasn't great. We got a win. Today, we wasn't great. We've got a win. Southampton got skittled. So there's your 10 points straight away. And look, if we get to the end of the season and we've won something, all these poor performances, like has been perceived today, will be completely forgotten. It is all about, it's a results game now, Rick. It's as simple as that. So I was very upset during the game, but looking back on it now, I'm just thinking to myself, job done. Gone to a very, very difficult ground and won 2-0. And you know what, Rick, on another day, they never really troubled us, to be honest. How many times did you see Hugo having to stretch to make a save, or a last-minute scramble, etc., etc.? Kane's missed a penalty. That's so rare. There's 3-0. We had a couple of other gilt-edged chances. On another day, that's 0-5. 0-5. And if you go away and win 0-5, that's an absolute statement. So, look, don't get too bent double over that performance. It's another win. And we get it under the belt, and away we go again. So, I am now. I've had time to decompress, as I said, in that little hour. I'm really happy with what we're doing. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we are going to come on to the wider aspect of the style of play, because, again, Russ has got his view on it. But listen, delighted to be making a debut tonight. Great to have Christina on. Christina, you've walked into an easy game, to be fair. Not many talking points, only a red card. That maybe should have been a red card. Kane missing a penalty. The show started late. It's all happened, I tell you. Christina, Kane's double. He does earn Spurs his third win in 4. It takes us up to joint, actually, second. And I think I've read a stat just earlier. Spurs have now taken the most amount of points since March. So, again, I understand there's a concern over the style of football, but what's your overall view on that result today? Are you happy overall, or frustrated by the way in which Spurs have ground out that result?
I mean, obviously, I'm always going to be happy when we get 3 points away, especially. But that first half was petrifying to watch. I honestly thought like they were going to do it in the second half. Talking about Kane's penalty, when we go back onto that, I thought it should have been retaken, because I thought the goalkeeper didn't have his feet on the line. But also, as much as it was like really uncomfortable to watch, I kind of enjoyed it at the same time. And yeah, it just showed what needs to be happening, because that first half we had no control, we had no creativity. It was just a shambles. No one knew what was going on. I had no idea what the hell I was watching. But it's like what Cracker said, you know, these are the type of games where before we would have lost them or they would have taken a draw out of us. So is this technically like an improvement? I don't know, because these are the games that we would lose and then it would come and bite us in the arse later because, you know, we lost them points. So I just think, is this an improvement? I don't know. And then we're obviously with the team, like we're now seeing like with Richarlison coming in, is this now going to be the change up that Conte is going to do? I don't know. But 3 points, I'm happy, even though it was pretty unhealthy to watch. I'm happy to get them 3 points away, definitely.
I mean, listen, we've had a whole host of questions coming. I will just give a flavour to some we've had. Drew Walton says, last year we drew against the playoff final winner. This year we beat them. Another 2 points that we didn't have last season. Martin at Newsom Martin says, not playing well, scoring 2, securing 3 points, and yet another clean sheet. Very happy, but still unspursy. We've got Jose Roque asks, is it time to switch to a 3-5-2? Not acceptable that a newly promoted team should be dominating possession the way they did in that first half. And I think the first half possession stats were, 41% to Spurs, 59% to Forest, which again, I think you can understand why there is a slight concern. Tony at Anthony SJ says, is it time to make changes to that starting 11? I know if it's not broken, don't fix it, but some players look so tired and so out of sorts there. Richarlison in for Sonny is the perfect for me in a derby game up against West Ham. Son has been nowhere near his best this season. We are going to come on to Son. Definitely went out 100% during this show. Adam Pearce says, now that we've had that tantalising appearance by Spence, will Twitter still be unbearable asking to start the next game? Jordan Hussein says, hi chaps, looking forward to a quality show. I know Jordan's in the comments. Why do we keep starting games on the back foot, then second half having to show more about us? And Kurt Butler also goes on to say, you know, our first half performances are all cause for concern. We seem so sloppy on the ball, not completing simple passes, and against a better side, they will punish us. Jay Reid finally says, it's a clear tactical to play the way we're playing. Why on earth do we play like this when we can clearly play much better? And Sarah Millard says, anyone happy with this style of the win? Well, listen, let's get into it, because I think the question is, Russ, long-term question is whether this level of performance is sustainable. And again, listen, we're always happy to answer the long-term questions on Last Word on Spurs. What do you think for you?
No. I don't think it is for me personally. By the way, I agree with nearly all of those comments, and I think we were all sitting here shaking our heads, agreeing with them. If we start slowly in the Champions League and against bigger teams in the Premier League who have equal, if not bigger, ambitions than Tottenham, we're going to get punished, and there will be games where we've got no chance. We'll get caught out, a couple of quick goals. And that's going to be it. It's going to be more than an uphill battle. It is a concern. I think somebody said that, you know, the players look tired. Harry Kane said in the interview on Sky, we're so fit, you know, but they don't look it. To me, a lot of them look very, very slow. And when I was watching that first half and Forest were all the possession, and when we got the ball, we couldn't pass it. I was thinking, why can't we have a midfield player who has the ability to get the ball, have time on the ball like good ones do, have a look around and play a pass that makes the difference so the opposition don't keep coming back at us? It's been a familiar thing. Maybe Basuma is going to turn into that player and be that player. Hope so, because I think we're missing that a little bit. But, you know, my overall point is, start slow, you know, like we have done in the first 4 games of the season. And I think Conte's ambitions won't be realised. So, but he'll know that. He'll know that. He mentioned it a couple of times after the game today. We start very slow, you know, we give the ball away. We're not passing well enough. We can all see that. But we're getting results, as Christina said, and loads of people have said. And
it's such a split. I mean, it is a do you know what, Russ? It is. I will say, listen, we've got about 800, 900 of you watching. Thank you again so much for all your support straight after the game. I will say it looks like a definitive split amongst the comments in between some that are just saying winning is all that matters, and others are saying, well, we saw this under Nuno, how we started the season, and it's not sustainable. It's a real interesting balance. It really, really is. Christina, let's come over to you. Listen, for you, you said that, you know, you've seen Spurs down the years, you know, play a lot better and not get results, essentially. But this question, like I said, I'll just go on to expand it a bit more. So Sarah Millard at Sarah for Spurs says, Anyone happy with the style of the win? I'll take the 3 points, but wing-back play, which is the backbone of our system, seems practically non-existent. Minimal transition through midfield. Is Conte satisfied with his performance? Richarlison was the only highlight for me, and in all, that was 17 minutes of him being on the pitch. Overall, Christina, do you share the concerns long-term about the sustainability of the performances?
I think he's starting it off slow. Well, I don't know. I'm hoping he is. I'm just hoping that, it's going to start off slow. We can be moaning about it now, and then slowly he will get everyone coming on, get Richarlison on, get all the new boys on playing now, because we've seen what they can do. There was no point in buying them if you're not going to use them at the end of the day. And it's like I said, we got, as much as we are all frustrated, we got those 3 points. So I watched the interview afterwards as well, and even Conte said it. He was like, it was really tough, and even going to Forest, it was a difficult game, and we knew it was going to be difficult. I just hope that this is just the slow of what is going to happen, and then I just want us to start attacking like how we used to watch Spurs. It was all about going forward. So I just want it to be fast paced. I want there to be creativity. That's the area that is where we've got major errors going on. And I'm hoping when's the last day of the transfer window that we get someone. I want 2 players.
Yeah.
But,
Thursday, Christina.
Thursday. Yeah.
I pray.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it does feel, you look at that squad, it still feels to me, I've said it before, it needs more. I've been highly criticised on Last Word on Spurs, and I've said that Spurs need a central attacking midfielder, somebody that can link up play, a lock picker. And people have told me, well, listen, the creativity comes from the wing backs. Well, I'll be honest with you, that first half and the first half we've seen throughout this season, we're not seeing any creativity really from our wing backs. We're not even too sure what our preferred wing back partnership is at the moment. And that, again, is another issue, coming up where Champions League only begins in a week or so. So, as Russ says, we do need to be ready for that. I am conscious what I am going to do is just share the stats from today's game. Now, again, if you compare them from the first to the second, it's a lot of difference in terms of what you would read from it. But, Russ, to come back over to you, if I can, or sorry, Cracks, did I skip you there, Cracks, on this? If I did, I think I might have skipped you there, Cracks. Did I skip you there, Cracks, sorry?
Rick, you go to whoever you like. This is your toy.
Exactly.
It's your
toy. I'm not sure where we are.
You go where you like with it. I'll sit here and say nothing.
Russ, let's come over to you. I mean, listen, we've got the stats there on the screen, 17 to 18 shots in Spurs' favour. I think the interesting thing there, again, is you look at the possession. I think, again, some fans may have been concerned in terms of, possession for a newly promoted side against Spurs, a club that under Conte are aiming for big things. But again, I think we have to realise Forest have made that place like a fortress. Yeah. They are dominant at home. They've won their last 8. They don't concede many goals. But I think, again, we discussed the actual sustainability of the performances. There's some out there that just simply say, look, is there a concern about the performances? We're churning out results that maybe we haven't done in the past, but maybe for only entertainment's sake, Russ, some would just like to see a good performance. Do you take anything from those stats on the screen there for you, Russ?
Yeah, I mean, the shots, look, 17 for Nottingham Forest. This is what we've been talking about. The people watching this and listening to this are either thinking or have sent in comments. Against a good team, you're going to concede goals early, and it's uphill. It's... The possession doesn't worry me too much because, Conte's team is very organised, and they couldn't really play dangerously through the lines. They put a few crosses in. I thought that our defenders dealt with them pretty well. But it isn't always going to be that way if you're playing this way. I repeat, to use an Antonioism. So it is a concern, but I'll say again, we're talking about Spurs. This Nottingham Forest team would be very lucky to stay in the Premier League, in my opinion. They're not going to score enough goals, even at home.
It's interesting because I think they're on there. I mean, I think they've made 18 signings now, potentially 19 coming. I know Anthony Costa was massively worried about Sergio Aurier being available for this one. I think they're still waiting to actually secure Aurier's transfer to the club. The XG is an interesting one there again, because for all of the nature that Spurs are being criticised maybe with the style of the play, as you can see from an XG perspective, Spurs so much more dominant. 2.57 for our audience in terms of audio there, 0.90 for Forest. Again, it indicates that despite maybe a concern about Spurs' sustainability of how they're playing generally, Spurs still look a lot more dominant in terms of what they're creating in front of goal. And I think, again, that goes down to the players they've got, the likes of Kulusevski, Son, of course, and Kane. And again, we'll come on to Son shortly. But, generally, you have to say that although there might be that concern overall of how Spurs are managing their games, I still feel, coming over to you, Christina, going forward, Spurs still look really, really, intimidating. Would you agree that going forward, Spurs are still a side that are still dangerous on that counter-attack?
I mean, looking at the shots on target, at least we're getting some of them, because we were not getting any last season. So, like the start of the season. So, it's quite frustrating looking at this. It's quite surprising as well, like how we actually got 3 points looking at them stats. So it's, to me, this just looks uncomfortable. It's just not what I want us to be carrying on like this. This is not comfortable. When we play the big teams as well, I think we're going to see what, that's going to be the big... No, actually saying that, because we played Chelsea, so I can't even say that, actually. I don't know. It's just weird, the situation that we're in.
I'll say we're, again, joint second in the league. Crack's coming over to you. Rob on the screen says stats don't mean nothing. Kieran says here a better team will turn 17 shots into 3+ goals. Cracks, what's your takeaway from those stats on the screen there for you? Anything that kind of reaches out to you and gives you hope and optimism for the future, Rich?
Rick, well, look, 17 shots that Forest have had, 1 on target. So as a percentage, that's woeful. Out of 18, we've had 7 on target. So that's like 45%. Forest is minimal, absolutely minimal. 1 shot on target. So these stats are not lying. And I go back again, Rick, to what we were saying at the top of the show. It wasn't pretty, but it's job done, isn't it? That's clinical. That is absolutely clinical. If 18 shots you've had on 7 are on target, and 2 of those have gone in. It's just. I grew up watching teams from the Berkshire era, where we played with a certain panache, a certain style. And then we had that a little bit again during the Harry Redknapp period, a little bit during the Yole period, the Pochettino period. So I don't know. It's that style over substance, isn't it? Now, what do you want as a Spurs fan? Because I don't know. It's tough. There's 2 camps, Rick, and nobody's wrong. Do you want results, or do you want to be utterly entertained?
Yeah.
And when we have gone for that, being utterly entertained, apart from Bill Nick and apart from Keithy Birkinshaw, it's not amounted to much, has it? It's been that almost. Under Poch, I mean, the night he gave us at Ajax, you'll never forget it. But we went on to a final and we was abysmal. And we never won anything from it. We never won anything under Poch. So I don't know. It's a tough one, Rick. It's a tough old game now. And you've either got to go for a results game or an entertainment game. So I think it comes down to, it's a risky strategy from Conte. If he wants to play this type of football, because he's obviously sent them out today to play that type of game where we've absorbed a lot of pressure, given away a lot of possession, and then hit them on the break.
Yep.
If at the end of the season you see Lloris climbing the steps to pick a trophy up,
Yes.
You will forget every one of these performances. I'll guarantee you, every one of them, you will be cock-a-hoop to a man, woman, and child that you've actually put a trophy in the cabinet. Now that's where it comes down to. Or you can have Pochettino football, where you get these great nights that do live long in the memory, but ultimately lead to nothing. So look, pick a side. It is as simple as that now, Rick. You pick a side. I think I know which one I'm on, and that comes down to everybody's own free choosing choice.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's interesting, Russ? Again, I will say this, and I've got 900 plus of you watching us live, and I understand it completely splits viewers in terms of an audience and people listening to this on audio, of course, in terms of what camp they fall in. But, you know, for many out there that are saying, well, Conte's not setting them up this way. The reality is we've gone into, you know, the 4 games we've had. Southampton, we utterly blew them away. But it's very hard to believe that Conte isn't setting them up this way. When you look at the base of the last 3 performances, we have started every single one of those first halves really slowly, and then second half come out as a different team. So you have to believe, Russ, unless I'm going crazy here, that this has to be part of the playbook from Conte, isn't it? Because why would we keep on repeating it?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would appear that way. There's no doubt about it. But he did talk about that after the game. And he didn't say it was a strategy. He just said, you know, once again, we start slow, blah, 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 blah. He was more concerned about us not being able to keep the ball when we got it back when we were under pressure. And I would totally agree with him there. I mean, one of those stats, incidentally, that stuck out there, and I forgot to mention it, we have 1 corner. Now, we talk about, you know, and Christina was quite rightly said, you know, the whole show is based on wing-backs. The reason we have 1 corner is the wing-backs really didn't do their job at all, whereas Nottingham Forest did. And that's probably why they got 6 corners. I'm not saying all of them, but I bet you the lion's share were from that. But maybe, Rick, we should throw the question out now. On Wednesday, when we play West Ham away, how many people would be happy playing like we played today and getting 3 points and winning a game of football? I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah, I think again, lots of this is due to obviously the nature of Spurs' lack of success. And I'm not going to say how many years that's been, but we all know how many years that's been. I think we all are just craving a trophy or trophies. I think we just all need to win something. And I think we're just hell-bent on getting there now. And I think that's even down to the board. You look at their appointments, they've gone for names, stellar names that have been there, done it, won it, from the likes of, obviously, Mourinho to now Conte, Nuno in the middle, but we're going to have to cover that. Pochettino, who, again, they stuck with Poch for a period where they believed they were building with him. And again, subsequently, the question was, should he been backed? But you can't argue with the appointments of Conte and Mourinho. They've gone for 2 managers with a CV of winning. So the club clearly, whatever you say about maybe the money they've given those managers to spend, they've appointed 2 managers that are used to winning. So, listen, it's one of those debates where we always leave it open for the viewers and the audience's interpretations. It's entirely up to how you guys feel in terms of the style of play, how you want to win. I think we all are convinced for us, we just want to win. And however that may be, again, that again comes with, you know, elements of having to suffer, deal with the style of play. But what we will just do is we will just go for our first break of the show. For our listeners that are on audio, again, for our watchers on YouTube, a good 800, 900 of you here watching us live across all of our platforms. So again, thank you so much for all of your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. Always appreciate it. And it is that time for our lovely technical friends. Crackers knows what's coming. We are delighted, of course, to be sponsored by NordVPN. Nord, as you know, they are the Harry Kane of VPNs, the security behind VPN. Oh, Harry Kane's. We made a laughing joke with Nord that, of course, for them now, it's now well established as a platform. You're going to need them for the Champions League. If you're going to go out to the Champions League, away games coming your way, you want to secure your phone, you want to be able to watch, again, the opportunity to watch games out there. You want to make sure you can do what you can do in the UK. You are going to need Nord in order to be able to, like I say, act like you're actually at home. And that's the great thing with Nord. You can do that. You can watch all different kinds of stuff, as you know. And listen, we're delighted to be sponsored by them. We've got a discount for you on the screen here right now, where you can get yourself for 3 months with Nord, plus 30-day money-back guarantee by going to www.nordvpn.com/LWOS. We love a bit of Nord. We hope you do too. We're going to need them because Champions League is coming. Right.
Are you sponsored by Nord, Ricky, by any chance?
Rick, Nord is not the Harry Kane of VPNs. It's the Richarlison of VPN. When you sign up for a bit of Nord, you're going to come on and do keepy uppies on the internet's back. That's what you behind their back. You'll come on and you'll just you'll absolutely stir things up. So they are the Richarlison of VPNs.
Sorry, Rich, I didn't get that in the script. That's why Crackers does this for a living. I'm just winging it week by week, and I tell you, my God.
Ricky, no, they're the Kane of VPNs. They're the best of the best. Honestly, no, I use them. They're top drawer. There you go. And I'm not getting a tanner for that
yet.
Right, yeah, as Russ says. Right, we must quickly just bring up the starting lineup from today. Spurs, once again, unchanged for the game. Right, so the team, as we saw, it was the same as the weekend over Wolves. So Basuma, Richarlison, Longley being made to wait for their full debuts. Lucas Moore and Brian Hill, we knew beforehand, were injury doubts and therefore didn't travel. Brian Hill, of course, closing in on that move to Valencia. Jed Spence in the squad. Obviously, many happy to see that. Pape Matar was also in the squad. Richarlison named on the bench again, as was Japhet Tanganga. Japhet, of course, being heavily linked with a move away before the deadline of Thursday to respectively both, I think, AS Roma, Inter Milan, AC Milan. So we'll keep an eye in terms of, like I say, the movement on Japhet Tanganga. But of course, we know Romero Skip still out through respective injury. So that team red from left to right, we had Hugo Lloris in goal. A back three, as you can see there, Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, with our two wing-backs in there of Emerson Royale and Perisic. We've got the midfield two of Højbjerg and Bentancur. Then that full line of Kulusevski, Kane and Son. Our bench red, Forster, Longley, Spence, Tanganga, Doherty, Sessegnon, Sarr, Basuma, Richarlison. Christina, come around to you first. What did you make of the team? Happy that we've, again, kept it the same? Or would you have been in favour of seeing maybe one or two given their full debuts for the club?
I knew he was going to put the exact same team. Right, before I say anything else, I am a number one Son fan. So wherever anyone says anything bad, I will defend it. But he needs a break, and he should not have started it. As soon as Richarlison came on the pitch, the whole game completely changed. That guy needs to start on Wednesday against West Ham, without a doubt. And you know what as well? I've always thought with Tottenham, we've always been this sort of soft team where now with Richarlison, like, that's what I want. I want that fierceness, like, on the pitch. And even better, we didn't even have Ramiro on the pitch. So them two together, I can't wait to see them play 90 minutes. But the Son doubt, he is going to come back. I do believe that. He will come back. He will come back to his usual. And, you know, he'll be scoring goals again. But for now, he needs a break, 100%. I can't put it anyway. But, yeah, as soon as Richarlison came on, it just made so much sense. And I just hope that Conte took note of that. And I pray that Wednesday he starts. So...
We are getting so many comments coming in with regards to Richarlison. Should he start for West Ham? Well, I promise you we'll come on to that, obviously, when we delve into Richarlison's performance overall. But listen, in terms of the game itself, Forest, I must say, they made two changes to that side against Everton. We saw a first start for their record signing, Morgan Gibbs-White, and also Ryan Yates also came in to that starting 11. But listen, it feels like a long time ago now. Coming over to you, Russ. Spurs did take the lead very early into that game. Kane finding the bottom corner from the outside of the box after Kulusevski played him in. Didn't appear to get his best connection on it, but Spurs did score with our first attempt on goal. How nice was it, Russ? Bearing in mind we've said how slow Spurs have started games, to actually score early.
Well, I was delighted. I mean, I was jumping up off the sofa, screaming out at the Arsenal supporter who was working in the office, which was a lovely moment, I have to say. But I didn't do a lot of screaming after that. Not until the second half.
Screaming in pain.
Yeah. But look, whenever we score, it's great, whether it's the first minute or the 89th minute if we win. But I was pleased that Harry's chipping away at these stats. You know, he deserves to be right up there in that company. He said himself after the game, didn't quite catch it right, but it went in. They all count, and he's right. And I do agree with Christina that I think you would think about, I know we're going to come on to him, starting Richarlison against West Ham, because he's outrageously talented. We look at the cross for the second goal. It's out of this world. Nice. Sensational.
Yeah.
But he's got that nasty streak, which can equal a red card, I know. But Tottenham aren't nasty. And I think Conte wants us to be a bit more nasty. And so you get a bit of both, you know. We paid a lot of money for him. And Sonny, in a way, I was happy to see him, by the way, really upset on the bench that he'd come off. He was really upset because he knows he isn't playing well at the moment. Mm. And he's so important to the club. He's done so much for us. But competition is good, you know, and I'm with Christina. I think, you know, he should start against West Ham, definitely. I would like to see us play 5-3-2 occasionally, I must say, going forward. An extra player in midfield would be handy, I think, given what we've all been talking about tonight, about somebody to get hold of the ball and that kind of stuff, and distribution. The ball is precious.
Yep.
You know, give it to our front three accurately, because sometimes we're a bit headless chicken and what have you. I think Basuma is going to come in sooner or later for Højbjerg, I would have thought.
It's it's really interesting, Russ. I mean, you make the points there. Lots again calling for the formation change. You just feel, as we've said, again, everybody's got their own interpretation to the way we're playing. But I think we want to see that flexibility from Conte that allows us to be able to change. You know, it is about in-game management, right? I think we were so many times on this show. Crack said it. You know, I know Russ, you said it as well on here. You know, with Pochettino in charge, that you want to be able to feel you've got a manager that can change games and can do that midway. And I think again, that's where Conte's been massively tested. I know many seem to be, to some degree, they're underrating that Champions League group. There's some very good sides in there, and we're going to be put to our mettle where we know Conte as a manager, he's not been great at managing the 2 games per week, and especially managing Champions League campaigns overall. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does manage to navigate going in between games, changing the team around, because I think we all feel going into Thursday's deadline, we do need more. We just need something more. For me, we still definitely need that spark. Rich, coming over to you. Listen, after Saturday, great reverse pass from Kulusevski. I don't want to go and miss today because the goal itself for Spurs, it was a lovely pass from Kulusevski and a world-class finish from Kane. I know we go mad about Kane on this show so many times, but at the time now, that means for Kane, he's up to 201 league goals in his career. He's netted 187 with Tottenham, 7 with Millwall, 5 with Leyton Orient, 2 with Leicester. We'll come on and discuss his second finish soon, Rich, but Kane's opening goal, world class, isn't it, Harry Kane? As you've said on this show numerous times now. Yeah,
do you know, Rick, I've spent so many months and years coming on the show saying that Kane's not world class, and I take it back. He is. I mean, that's 201 goals now, and he tears it up. He always tears it up. He's Mr. Reliable. And, you know, he's just Kulusevski as well complements him so well, so well. They've done a job on him today, Forest, Kulusevski. They tried to cut off the supply line. They knew that if he got the ball and got given the space and the time, he's going to devastate you. And that kind of leads on to this thing about the transfer window. We paid £50 million for Kulusevski and Bentancur. 50 million for the pair. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at like Anthony going to Man U for 100 million. Cucurella for 60 million. Now, all of a sudden, them 2 for 50 looks like an absolute steal. Yeah. Because if we put Kulusevski up for sale tomorrow morning to be sold before the end of the window, you're going to get £100 million for him, Rick. £100 million. That's the bananas football transfer economics at the moment. So, Kane, listen, if you've got Kane in your side, there's no team on earth that's not taking Kane, is there? Absolutely no team on earth He's tearing it up. 201 goals. You just like the stats. I don't need to make a case for him. The stats themselves do that. With the formation, as you just showed there, listen, there's. I mean, we're talking about Son. He looks off of it at the moment, but when you look at Conte's comments after the game, he's turned around and said, if he asked to marry one of my daughters, he could marry her. Now, I'm a father of 2 daughters, so I know what that means. There's no way Sonny's getting dropped.
No.
Absolutely no way he's getting dropped. No. And do you know what? I'm making right. Wednesday night, I'll start Sonny again because all he needs is that one goal. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he's out of sorts, he's this, he's that. He just needs that goal, Rick. He needs that goal. And further to that, if he doesn't get one, that's when you bring the weapon on that's Richarlison. Because I think I wouldn't start Richarlison. He's the person to give you that last 30, 35 minutes. And when he comes on, well, I'm sure you've got him to come round to us all a little bit later. But Sonny, I would start him again Wednesday. He needs a goal. That's all he needs. And sometimes they don't come. Shearer, leading up to Euro 96, I don't think he had a goal for England in about 7 games. It was bananas stats. And then all of a sudden, he got one against Switzerland in the opening game, and away he went. And I think Sonny's the same. You've just got to give him some time. Even in that starting lineup today, we saw Sanchez getting some stick. Oh, we really miss Romero. And we do miss him. But stats, again, they don't lie.
No.
Big Dev has done over 9 hours. He's done nearly 10 hours now without conceding a goal. So, listen, that's more than adequate as a replacement for Romero. If Romero's a Rolls Royce, Davidson's at least a Bentley. He's got to be 9, nearly 10 hours in the Prem without conceding a goal. That's pulling up daisies, Rick. That really is.
No, I agree. Listen, we'll definitely come on to the players' performances, and again with Sanchez, I think what's harming Sanchez really is what's happened in the past, isn't it? Really, I think we can all say previous performances back 2 or 3 years ago is unfortunately what's being again with Sanchez always on the eye. I think that's always the thing with Sanchez. It's very hard to shake it off. I think again, if we're talking about he was signed this summer and you see his performances, I think there's much you can complain about. Because again, fairly solid today. We then actually saw Kane score him. He then had a fantastic opportunity to double Spurs' lead, but a wonderful tackle from Worrell denied him. And Højbjerg, it was actually his pass that slipped him in. Then we kind of come to this point, coming over to you, Christina, where we approach half time. We see Forest having 60% of the possession. And Spurs allowed them to have that possession, arguably. There was a willingness for Spurs to give up that possession. How did you feel, Christina? I know we've discussed style of play, so we're going to go back into that element again. But how did you feel going into half-time? Did you always feel Spurs had control of that game, or was you concerned about the second half? Bearing in mind, Spurs have always come out really well in second half so far this season. To be honest, I said it before to my friends, do I bother watching the first half? Because we always come out in the second half all the time for some reason. So had a little bit of hope, but then because obviously it was just so uncomfortable that first half. But I kind of had a feeling like we were going to go in for a second. It's just what we've seen this from the start of this season. So to be honest, I don't even know how to explain it, because it's just we keep moaning about this, but we got the 3 points. So it's just should we be moaning? Should we just be happy? I think listen, Joe, I will say to Christina, listen, Last Word on Spurs as a platform, we always say we want it to be here to express everyone's views. It's not here to only express one side of the game, because ultimately, I think we came on here today and we're sitting there saying Spurs joint second, it's 10 out of possible 12 points, we're flying high. I think we've been here, listen, in the first 3 games under Nuno. Now, let me just make it clear, I'm no way am I comparing Nuno to Antonio Conte. I'm not in a stratosphere comparing, but all I'm saying is that we've seen, performances, being compared to points, and we had that concern at the very, very early stage of that campaign. So I think everybody is well within their rights to, number one, be happy with the fact that Spurs have started the season well, but to still also be a little bit cautious that from a style perspective, is that sustainable long term? And I think there's absolutely no problem with that. That's what we're here for. I think, again, we've always said Last One Spurs, we're open to everybody's view of the game, and that's why we're here to discuss it. And we've got great guests like you guys are on here to discuss it. I mean, Russ, coming over to you, as I mentioned there, Spurs leading into the break, but it's the third game running where we've been maybe thoroughly outplayed in the first half. I think we saw that there was a real need to improve and really take control of that game in the midfield. I think we definitely missed Romero's ability to pass out from the back. I think that's one thing we are really missing from Romero. And then you have to say Forest, on the other hand, they look bright. They caused us many problems in that first half. And we all, I think, went into that break thinking Conte needs to get more from these players. Now, what I will say is I love Antonio Conte. I know we all adore Antonio Conte. Whatever he says at half-time seems to do the job. We have to all say it because we always improve in the second half. So is it a case, Russ, where we commend Conte for the second half performances and ask him, can he just not do that from the start?
Yeah, I think it is. But you're right. The second half, it was a much better performance. The front three were getting a lot more of the ball. We were careful in midfield with the ball. We were certainly careful at the back. There wasn't too many moments really that I can remember, like the first half where, oh my God, what's going to happen? Are we going to concede? And we did keep the ball better in the second half. The frustration is for me, why, excuse me, can't we do that from the beginning of games? Maybe we will at the London Stadium, but I wouldn't, take that as guaranteed. But second half, we definitely played better, missed a penalty, got a second goal, probably could have got a third, and as Cracker said, maybe even a fourth. And Nottingham Forest, apart from that last sort of 5 minutes and then that 8 minutes of time added on when they were pushing to try and get a goal. I mean, it could have been a bit hairy if they had done, but they didn't really, we played a team today who are not going to score enough goals even at home to stay in this league unless they get a striker. That's fact.
Yep. No, listen, again, I must reiterate the comments here. It's one loss in our last 15, as King Hoddle says there. And again, as we said, Spurs have collected the most amount of points since March. So, joint second in the league, most amount of points since March. Again, evident case there. Lots of Spurs fans, there's no reason why you can't be happy. And the good thing is, as I've said so far, through Last One Spurs this season, Spurs yet to hit their peak. We can only get better. So, again, we're trying, as you can tell, guys, here, we're just trying to marry both sides up. We're here listening, saying there's reasons to improve. We're given the reasons to improve. We want more. We sure want more, but there's a lot more to come. I think that's also the exciting aspect of it. Spurs haven't really got out of second, third gear yet. So, lots
Rick,
to come.
do you know what? Do you know what really impressed me today? After that penalty save from Henderson, their towels went up. We was away at a stadium making a raucous noise, and we managed it out because their towels went up. And for 10 minutes after that, they peppered us, but we managed it out, and that's the difference. Tell me a time, like previously under Poch, under Jose, under Nuno, under Harry, under Yol, when something like that would have happened, we would have buckled. We would have buckled. We've all seen it.
Yeah, this reminds me, Rich. Sheffield United during lockdown, right? We missed. I think we missed a penalty that day, and we crumbled, right? We crumbled
Absolutely
mentally and went. And so we've seen it in our own eyes at Spurs when they have something negative go against them, they do have a tendency to drop their heads. But you've got to say under Conte, the mentality that he's drilled in. And again, we have to remind ourselves there's been a lot of influx of new players, although we haven't seen all those new players yet. But it's clear that the philosophy, whatever we say, it is getting through to these players. Now, again, is it a process? Do you have to accept that maybe it is at the moment points over performances. And I've got to be honest with you, if it is, I will take that for now, because you're seeing progress in other areas where Spurs in the past weren't able to mentally get over things. Like we've said, missing penalties, raucous stadium, fans on your back. Spurs have shown they can handle that. They really, really have. So lots of positives. There is lots of positives. What we'll just do is we'll just go for our next break of the show for our listeners that are on audio. For our watching audience on YouTube here, still a good 800, 900 of you plus watching us live across all of our platforms. Thank you again for all of your wonderful support. We're joined by the brilliant Russ Williams from talkSPORT, the wonderful Mr. Cracknell, and making a debut tonight, and a great debut so far. We've got the brilliant Christina Zandes with us. Right, penalty drama or non-penalty? We'll get straight into it. It was mad this second half. It was crazy. There's so many talking points. We've got Richarlison, shithousery to come, of course, as well. But Russ, let's kick it off with you. Penalty to Spurs. I just couldn't believe what I was watching when I saw this. Steve Cook, the defender, crazily, hands up in the air. I don't know what he was thinking. I know they say these defenders don't know what they're thinking when they do it. But like I say, he palmed the ball away from Kane's head for Perisic's cross. Now, is that argument essentially, was the ball going in? Just very quickly on this, after the game, Kane was asked, his thoughts on it. Steve Cook come out and said for him, he understood why it wasn't a penalty. Kane said, if this isn't denying a goal-scoring opportunity, what is? I mean, Russ, based on the rule book, can you understand how that isn't a penalty?
Harry Kane said he would have got his head to it all day long with the exact words that he used. Therefore, it is clearly the denying of a goal-scoring opportunity.
That should be a red card, right?
It's a red card.
Yep.
And I was incredulous, that a yellow, really? I mean, there was never a doubt it was a penalty. There was something they looked at, which was a load of nonsense in the build-up. But it definitely was a red card. But even with VAR, we were having to put up with an awful lot of inconsistencies. But to me, it doesn't matter whether the ball was going in. Harry Kane was going to head it in, and he was there on the spot, and he said it. And he's the England captain. He's a world-class player. Amazing talent. We all love him, and I don't think he's going to make it up. So, he should have gone. I think it's obvious.
It's crazy. Again, we've got loads of questions on this. Colin Raphael coming over to you, Cracks. He says, was the delay on the penalty decision purely down to whether it was a red card or not? Surely take the pen and then decide. The delay contributed to the save, I'm sure. That's from Colin. I mean, firstly, Rich, before we go through them both for you, should it have been a red card for a deliberate, and it was a deliberate handball from Cook, who's palmed it away, basketballed it away from Kane's head? If
Sissoko's was a penalty, that's a penalty, isn't it?
Jesus Christ.
It's as simple as that. And this is where I've got a real problem with all this VAR nonsense that's been brought into the game. He's deliberately handballed it. There was this conjecture over whether he was fouled or not. But even if he did get a shove, he's put his hand up and he's handballed it to deny a goal-scoring opportunity. That's a red card, Rick. Ultimately, it's not counting for a row of beans, is it? So, listen, I was a goalkeeper when I was a kid. My lad's a goalkeeper showing much promise, and I actually quite love Henderson because he's mad as a box of frogs. He's like Pickford. Henderson's the same, and my lad's the same. And I love my lad to death. And he's nuts. He's nuts. He's a goalkeeper, and he's absolutely he's wired to the moon.
He is.
So the fact that he actually saved it. It's just like
the celebration after as well. That celebration,
yeah. So I can't deny him that celebration. He's made a terrific save, but so it was a pen, and if it was a pen by default, it's a sending off. So, but this is just this nonsense with VAR at the moment. I said to you before that referees. If we're sort of going to pick up VAR a little bit, like a scab on your back of your hand or something, referees got 98.7% of their decisions right before VAR. 98.7. Can I tell you that if you get some equipment into an operating theatre in a hospital, it has a failure rate of 3%. So 97% of the time, it has to be right. When I worked on the railways, your signalling had to be a failure rate of 2%. So 98%. Referees were getting 98.7% of decisions right. So if referees were operating like medical operating theatre equipment or railway signalling equipment, they'd be passed to be used.
Crazy.
So why has VAR even come in? It's an absolute nonsense. It's just that, Rick, it's another layer, and you know I don't like to swear on the show. It's another layer of bullshit. It's absolutely it is. It's nothing more than that. So he should have gone. It was a deliberate handball. Simple as that. He should have gone. And maybe all the to-in and throw-in meant that Kane didn't score. But listen, what was that? 20. I think that was penalty 21, 22, wasn't it? He scored 21 before. That was number 22. Again, that's not a bad failure rate either for just an individual taking penalties. So I'd be like, Kane's getting no stick from me at all because he's had one saved. Wow, big deal. Like it happens. That's football. It's chaos. It's not science.
I think you've outdone Lee McQueen on the Blue Book there, Rich, all those stats. I tell you, I think Lee's out of a job now. Lee won't come back after this. Jesus Christ, right out of a job. Christine, let's come over to you. Listen, as we've discussed, Kane, as Rich said, referred to it there, is his first missed in 22 attempts. Ironically, that's dating back to the Liverpool being the last one of Feb 2018. Just get your view on that decision, the non-red card. Can you understand it at all?
I thought there was actually two errors in it. So obviously the guy was literally playing volleyball. It was a clear handball, 100%. You literally saw him dash it over, like he was stopping the goal going in.
Yeah.
Obviously we then got the penalty, but I don't know. When I was watching it, to me it looked like the goalkeeper was not on the line. So to me, don't you retake the penalty? I that's what I looked at, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's what I thought when I was watching it. But I thought there was two errors in that. So yeah, we should have got a red card, and I think we should have had the penalty retaken.
Good point. It's interesting. I've got to be honest with you. I've seen the goal back once. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see it back. I really haven't. But in that moment, I think there was the chaos of literally them making that decision on the penalty and then Kane taking it. Everything in those couple of minutes was just absolute craziness. And then again, I think the thing is, as you guys have said there, that the way that ground erupted when Kane missed that penalty, the big up that would have given Forest, then try and go and get a result. It almost felt like they scored a goal. The nature of those reactions, it was just unbelievable. But to be fair, as we've said there, Spurs managed that really, really well in terms of being able to quieten that crowd down, actually be able to calm the game down to some degree. And that, of course, helped with the introduction of Richarlison and the shithousery that came with him. And to be fair, we'll discuss the shithousery in a minute, but we've got to discuss the assist to the goal because, again, I mean, the guy's making the difference. Russ, coming over to you. It was a really, really super assist.
Rick, it was unbelievable. The way he won the ball.
Down. Yeah.
He was the only player that we've got in our squad, I think, who could have won the ball in that situation, actually done something with it. And then, obviously, the outside of the foot to bend it around and onto Harry Kane's head. I mean, extraordinary skill. And, we know what he is. We know he dives. We know that he looks for this, that, and the other. But he plays for us. And it's a different dimension now to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I think it's a very welcome dimension, I have to say. I just thought it was utter class from him. And he just looked dangerous. He occupies players. And, of course, Crackers, quite rightly, keepy uppies are not a crime. I'm sure he's going to have a good old say about this. For me, to see a player do that in a game, it's not disrespectful. It's, I'm skillful, come and get the ball, to me. But anyway, you know, the love is commentating on the game. They don't like it, of course. It's disrespectful. He's asking for a tackle like that.
Oh, Jamie Carragher was really. I think this is where, again, we have, you know, I think when you've got co-coms, you know, I think taking it very personally. This is why, again, I'm very sceptical recently in terms of the broadcasting, where we're seeing certain co-commentators favouring their own teams. And again, that's a massive talking point in the media at the moment as to whether that should be going on. But what I don't like is with Richarlison is that you can clearly see there's personal agendas about the player that comes into play on the co-coms because, you know, again, I massively respect Jamie Carragher. He cracks me up on many different shows, what he does for Sky. But he goes and says, he's at it again. And he's reinforcing the point with Richarlison. This is becoming, you know, more than on one occasion. But I think we have to understand that, you know, I think when he's your player, you're going to absolutely love it. And when he's not your player, he's the opposition, you're going to hate it. And I think, again, we had that with Dele Alli. I know many opposition fans who are facing Dele Alli. They absolutely couldn't stand him. With Spurs fans, we absolutely love that shithousery. And now we've got it, again, tenfold now with Richarlison. I'm going to dare and say it. We absolutely are going to love it. We really, really are.
But you know what? Quick point. Sorry, Rick. If that happened in the World Cup in November, everyone would be going, "Oh, do you see that unbelievable skill from that player? That's what the World Cup's all about." One of our players does it, and Jamie Carragher calls him out and says, "No wonder they're getting upset." Well, you know, I've got my own views on Jamie and whether he should actually be working there at all, actually. But anyway, he is. And you know, I just think it's theatre. Football's entertainment.
Again, so many people saying that. It's an entertainment sport. Kane says there. It's sports entertainment. Again, I think, again, it's whether, if he does it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think it's seen a completely different light. It's away from there. It's city ground. It's a fortress. You know, they're looking to get back into the game, and it's seen as definitely like he's taking a piss. But again, I'm sure we're all going to say we don't really mind that. He's wasting time. He's clocking down the minutes. That's what we want to see. I must have forget in between is, of course, the goal for Kane actually means now that he's the joint third top scoring Premier League player, 187 now, level with Andy Cole, or Andrew Cole, as he likes to be called. Only Alan Shearer on 260 and Wayne Rooney on 208 have scored more than him. But Kane is hunting down the pair of them. As Conte has said it as well, I think Kane would exchange that record for a trophy in no time. But listen, why can't he have all of them? Why can't he have all of them? Spurs have started the season really, really well in terms of a points percentage. Let's hope they can be. But going back to Richarlison, Rich has come around to you. I'm sure you've got lots to say on him. Listen, he made an instant impact coming on. He got a whack late on, actually, which he was juggling the ball for time wasting. There might be an argument there whether that should have been, you know, a bit more of a sterner yellow card. Should that have been a red for the way he was tackled? It wasn't friendly at all. But after the game, Steve Cooper said, "I wouldn't want my players to do that, what Richarlison did. If that is accepted at Spurs, that is nothing to do with me, but it wouldn't be accepted here." Fair? Harsh, Rich?
Yeah. Well, Rick, I remember as a very, very young boy, very young man, Alfie Conn sitting on the ball in 75 versus Leeds when we had to win to stay up. And he done that, and he instantly become a legend. So, listen, did Richarlison do anything that wasn't in the rules of football? I'll ask you, Rick. Was that anything out of the rules within football?
No.
To do that. Right.
No.
So, from doing that, he's come on, and all of a sudden, he gets upended. Because what he's done is he's drawn in a team that's just come up and a couple of young lads that have gone, "I'll show you," that have kicked him up in the air. And the player that kicked him up in the air should have gone. It was a professional foul. So, listen, me and one of our own, Frankie Major, we went to Everton away last season, Conte's first game. And Richarlison playing for Everton at the time. And we got a draw, and it was a terrible game. We were fantastic. They just done what they done, Everton. And me and Frankie came out, and everybody, to a man, woman and child coming out that stadium, was talking about Richarlison and how he fell over and how he done this and how he done that. So what? It's like within the Corinthian casual spirit and like this jolly hockey sticks rules of things and how football should be played. If you're a purist, it'll drive you mad. But do you know what? Purists don't win nothing. You've got to have that type of player in your side. He came on, he drew fouls, he frustrated, he wound up the home fans, he done this, he done that. And every team needs somebody like a Richarlison in there to go and do what he's done this afternoon. He's gone on there. Conte, he was Conte 25 years ago. He's come on and done exactly what Conte would have done when he played. You've got to have that type of player to come on and go and frustrate, slow the game down, draw fouls, fall over. Like he went over like he'd had to kick up the Jaffers to start with, didn't he? Within 2 minutes. He was nowhere near, was he? Because if that Nottingham Forest defender had actually caught his Jaffers, let me tell you, Richarlison would be making porn movies, not playing football, because he was a foot away from anywhere near his crown jewels. And he's gone down. And straight away, I'm sat there, I'm rubbing my hands, Rick. I'm thinking to myself, this is what I want to see. This is what you want. Just absolutely shit house the game. He's brilliant. I love him to death.
I've got to make laugh, Rich. There's one image of him actually smirking when he's on the ground, and it's the light.
Exactly.
He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's sitting the clock ticking down. Honestly,
Rick, he was nowhere near his danglers, was he? He was absolutely nowhere near him. Sorry, Christina. Sorry, everybody. I know this is a family show, but like, he wasn't. And like I said, if he'd have actually caught him in the danglers a foot away, he'd be making porn and not playing football. I love him. I absolutely love him to death, Rick. Love him.
If they did catch him there, Rich, he'd be down for the full 20 minutes for the rest of the game. You wouldn't see him. I tell you. That's the great thing about him.
He's a footballer, not a horse.
No, I tell you. Bainesy on the screen says, great to see Christina on here. Proper Spurs. She's been brilliant tonight. Love Christina on. Christina, we've got to get your views on it. Conte actually said after the game, in response to Steve Cooper's views on the keepy uppies and the showboating, Conte said, it's a game and you are under pressure. It is okay. And I don't think, Richie, wanted to show disrespect to Nottingham Forest. How true do you think that is?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That's why this is what we need. I said it before. This is what Tottenham needed. We need people like this. Yeah. I want people to be fierce on that pitch. We need that passion back. Yeah. We need to look scary. We want the other teams to be scared of us. And that's exactly why I loved him. And you know what? He was enjoying it as well at the same time. And it was brilliant to watch him play. And, said it before again, Ramiro hasn't even been on the pitch with him either. So screw the trophies. Let's get a collection of wigs. Why don't we? I don't know. Like, I'm buzzing. Like, that's what I can't wait to see. So I've got high hopes for that guy. Big time. So, yeah. Bring that fierce back on the pitch because that is exactly what we need.
I absolutely love this comment here. Richarlison in the headlines and he played 20 minutes. I mean, that's the most hilarious thing. Imagine when he actually does a full 90 for us. Bearing in mind his contribution so far. It's absolutely mad. And again, I know
he gets to the Emirates.
Oh, God. Could you imagine? him and Romero on the same pitch.
Oh, fantastic.
God, Jesus. We've got a lot to look forward to.
Rick, but I don't think he's a 90-minute player. That's what I was saying, play Son. I think he's that person that comes on and gives you that 35, 40 minutes, and he comes on and he just tears shit up. That's what he does.
He's a risk for now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He just comes on and he's like a seagull, isn't he? With somebody who's got a bag of chips. He just comes in and he just like squawks, nicks his chips and off he's gone. Yeah. So I think at the moment that's the role he's playing. But even if it's 30 or 40 minutes, he's winning you games.
Well, when you look at the overall contribution of players so far this season, you'd arguably say Richarlison's contributed the most. He's only been on the field for literally a quarter of the time some of the other players have been on there. I mean, I will just take this question only because, again, it's right to take it. Russ, This is from Sven at Sven Stigavolt, who says, does Richarlison deserve to start? I'm leaning to a yes. And also, what do you think about Conte's timing of subs? The whole season, I'm thinking he should start subbing at least 10 minutes earlier, especially considering the fact we can now make 5 subs in a match. I mean, those 2 points there, Russ. Number one, should he be starting against West Ham? And 2, timing of the subs for you?
I said earlier, I think that, and Crackers and I, and maybe Christina and a lot of the viewers disagree on this. I think Sonny just needs a bit of a rest, and I would start him and see what he can do from the start of a game. But going forward, it may not happen, but it may be that it's Richarlison starts, Son comes on, and vice versa. I don't know. I mean, Sonny's been amazing for our football club. So, you know, we love watching Richarlison. We love what he brings to our football club as a player, attitude, cheekiness, acting skills, all that stuff.
He's only played 3 games, Russ. This is bad. You look like he's played for years.
His headlines already. He's only played 20 minutes, you know.
Russ is still playing for years, though.
That's a special player, isn't it? You know, but, you know, Son Heung-min is an amazing world-class footballer, and he's definitely going to score goals for Tottenham again and again and again and again and again. So, and he runs like crazy, didn't he, as well, Sonny?
Yeah, you know what? I think, again, with Son, before this game, I think, again, what we have to bear in mind is that whenever Son's been on the pitch, again, he seems to always contribute something, you know, pivotal, I think, for the goal we saw at Chelsea. Yeah. You know, he's played his moments in terms of bringing Spurs into play. He's got a couple of assists. I mean, let's do the Son debate now, because, again, I'm conscious it kind of makes sense to twist it in and entwine it with Richarlison. Again, it was his 7th anniversary on his Tottenham move, we have to say. 7 years being at the club. We have, again, scored some wonderful goals for us in that time, wonderful moments that he's given us. You can see how low his confidence was, because it was summed up with that miss one-on-one vs Dean Henderson. And he missed another attempt he tried to chip him with the flag going up, obviously latter for offside. But we have to be real, it wasn't one of his best today. And then after the game, Conte, as Rich put it so beautifully earlier, you know, he said, if I have to find a husband for my daughter, I would like it to be a person like him. In this moment, he's suffering a lot because he's not scoring, and Son will always be a part of my football vision. And I think he also went on to say and elaborate in his press conference, he's a nut in terms of the vision. So, again, big words from Conte. It doesn't sound like he will drop him, but Christina, we've got another question on it, so it's good to kind of get your thoughts on this. Richie at THFC at Smith Zar says, if Son was to be dropped, what do you think his reaction is going to be? Because he seemed furious when he came off today. Do you think you'll get the right reaction or a poor reaction if you drop Son?
Well, the fact that he reacted to it, I thought was a good sign in the first place. Like, I want him to be frustrated himself. Without doubt, like I said, he's going to be come back and he will score goals. There were people last season that were saying, you know, he should have been dropped. He ended up getting the golden boot. Like, I have every faith in him, and I think he's going to work harder. I think Crackers as well has a good point of maybe getting him first again, because it's not when he gets that one goal, his confidence boosts up, and that's exactly what I think the issue is. He lacks confidence sometimes on the pitch, and you really do see it. So as long as he just gets that one goal in, I think he'll be back on track. I have every faith in that guy, and like we can't ever. The guys.
I think every time, Christine, you know, every time we've written him off on this show, he goes and scores the next game. So then you feel like an idiot because 3 days before you've criticised him and he goes and bangs a couple of goals in, which, again, West Ham, as everybody knows, he seems to hate West Ham with passion. He's been racially abused there in the past. You know, he always seems to turn up against West Ham. They honestly can't stand the sight of songs. He always scores. And you would imagine he's really fired up for that game. So you do wonder, as Cracks, you've all guys have said as well, do you want to drop him for a game of that fixture where you know Son always turns up? We are going to do 5 on West Ham in a bit, but conscious with Son, there's always a player in there. You know, 7 years of wonderful service. You know, he's put in multiple opportunities down the years where you think, would he consider moving away from Tottenham? Don't forget, he signed a bumper new contract with Nuno in charge. You have to maybe test the guy's, you know, love for Tottenham by doing that. You know, to sign a long-term contract with Nuno being here, I think tells you everything about what a wonderful servant he's been to this club. So, again, I'm very much of the case that, you know, when players are going through difficult times, we need to show them as much loyalty as to what they've shown us. And Son has shown us heck of amount of loyalty.
Rick, we didn't even want to do shows with you after Nuno games, but and this is just like a couple of hours of our life. He signed a contract. Don't forget that.
I'm just imagining visions of what Russ is going to be like on a golf course with another Nuno. Will you leave me alone?
He didn't even get past a ladies' tea.
I'll tell you, Nuno, that feels like that feels like a long time ago now. It really does. Guys, let's quickly rattle through some of the player performances. Then we are going to quickly do 5 on West Ham. Listen, Hugo Lloris today. Really strong display from Lloris. Again, sometimes we don't always have the chance to talk about Lloris, but I think he made pivotal moments in that game that could have really swung into different directions. For us today, saved midway through the first half from O'Brien, and did very well to palm away Morgan Gibbs White's low effort as well. Jesse Lingard was lurking actually underneath the bar. So listen, again, Lloris really, really strong. And then we'll let's give Christina the chance to give some love towards Davinson Sanchez. Again, today in the team, Romero absent. Over 9 hours on the pitch for Davinson Sanchez now without seeing the Spurs goal. Overall, between him, Christina, Dyer, who coped fairly well today, Ben Davies up against it at times. What did you make of the back three Spurs had today and how they performed?
I know people have a lot of doubt about it, but I think they're improving. And I don't know why we're moaning so much about them. We do need backups, but don't sell them. Yeah. We shouldn't be selling them, because I've seen comments about it, like we should be getting rid of this deadwood, whatever. No, they're improving. I mean, Dyer was our most consistent player last season, in my opinion. Sanchez deserves a lot of, Sanchez deserves a lot of credit recently. He deserves it, and he shouldn't be getting all these comments like of people hating on him, whatever. Like, he deserves it. He's 9 hours. You just said I have faith in them. And I have faith in Conte, most importantly. So I'm happy with them. And I can see them going even more further. So I'm happy so far. Just get them the backup. That's it.
Yeah. Russ, come over to you. I mean, just give us your thoughts on the wing-backs, Russ. Today, Emerson Royale. Again, we say it so often in the show. Listen, sloppy maybe going forward. As we always said, that he defended really well when called upon. But as we always say, not great in the final third. Perisic, he spent a lot of his times actually defending more than going forward, I felt. Yeah. Made way, obviously, in the closing stages for Ryan Sessegnon, who, to be fair, didn't contribute a huge much. Got a cross or wrong in that last 15, 20 minutes. What do you make of the wing-backs today, Russ, in terms of maybe creativity?
Emerson, he has improved since Conte has arrived. But I don't think we're going to win anything with Emerson Royale as one of our wing-backs. Perisic, class player, we know. It's age that is his enemy. I mean, I don't understand why we don't get Jed Spence embedded into this team. Can he really be any worse?
Do you know
or Doherty, I mean, a proven player who seems to have come on under Conte. Do we need another one?
Is it about trust, Russ, with Spence, in your opinion? Because, I mean, Conte before the game again was questioning his pre-match interview, I think, to Sky, and he said, look, Spence still needs to understand the way in which we want to implement, his style on the game, our style on the game. It just seems Conte's approach, bearing in mind, for the likes of Basuma so far, for Richarlison, even for Longley, who's yet to make full debuts, he's really, really, as we've seen, kind of bedding them in slowly. With Spence, it feels like it's very much similar to that. Can you see him breaking that mould based on Emerson?
Well, he might have to, because the games are coming thick and fast in the next few days. West Ham away, Fulham at home, then Marseille, and then blah and blah. There's all these games coming because of the World Cup. If you've got all these players and they're fit, and you bought them, the additional players, so you obviously think, or maybe he didn't. Who knows? That could be another debate. But you would imagine, Conte would have had a say, and certainly Paratici would have told him what was going on. I think you have to rotate. Otherwise, we are going to start games sluggish. And we've done it 4 times already this season. Hopefully not against West Ham, where I'm sure we'll be going over there and blowing their bubbles out. They won't even blow up. The machine will break down, and we're going to beat them. But anyway, look, what you've got to play players. and they're players of a very high standard. And that's why they've come to the football club, where standards are now even higher and expectations than they were, you know, in the first month or two when Conte came into the club. So, yeah, he's got to give them a shout. But in this game, they, you know, Emerson and Perisic, they weren't great. No, you know, they're okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to come in there, Christina?
I just wanted to say about Emerson, I honestly think he is going to be great for us this season. You're hearing this from me. Like, I don't know what it is, and I've seen so much criticism, but I think he's like improved like the most so far. I generally believe he is going to have the best season for us this year. I don't know what it is, but I have a lot of faith in Emerson. I always stick up with him. So I just wanted to say that. Like, I generally think he'll have a great season.
It's interesting. Again, I share your concerns, Russ, that in terms of going forward, you know, if we're a club that want to compete at that very, very top level and be, you know, I'd say close to the title. You look at the way City are, you know, coming back from City are giving teams 2-0 starts now, and they're still coming on to win. It's going to be very difficult. But I do agree. I think overall, listen, people asking me about Richarlison's performance, Emerson's performance today. I still feel his initial concerns are still there in terms of going forward. I think defensively, I haven't really questioned Emerson defensively. I think he's always been fairly solid. It's the going forward nature. It's the creativity. And when you've got a manager that is so hell-bent on the creativity coming from your wing-backs have to be top-notch. And I think at the moment, we can safely say they're not to that degree yet. So, Rich, coming over to you. Midfield-wise for you, Rich, listen, Højbjerg today, again, you called him the dustman. He battled away in that midfield for Tottenham. A couple of really good blocks to stop Ryan Yates actually from testing Lloris. Bentancur, again, one of those performances where probably maybe not noticed, but he kept the ball ticking over quite nicely. And he's done so many occasions, as we saw in the Juventus shirt. Overall, Rich, back five, midfield, happy with their performances? Any standouts for you in there?
Well, I'll start with the keeper, and Lloris, fantastic again today. He could literally fold up his kit and put it back in his kit bag, ready for Wednesday, couldn't he? He wasn't really tested, but he's getting to an age now, Rick. And keepers can't go on forever, can they? And I know we've got a backup keeper, so that's a position we really need to start looking at, you know. That's something. I mean, how old's Lloris now, Rick? 35?
I have to check. I think 34, 35.
Yeah. So that's, you know, I know keepers can go on a long while. So I would be starting to like maybe test Brighton.
35, Lloris, 35.
Yeah, 35. I would start going to test Brighton on their commitment to Sanchez and get him in, because he's a great keeper. He is a fantastic keeper, because we've only got maybe another 2 seasons with Lloris, you know. And I know keepers really run under the radar on what we do, and any sort of buzz and chat around football, keepers get very, very little of that sort of chat that goes on. How often do we talk about Lloris on this show? It's very minimal, isn't it?
It is, because I think there's so much going on with the other players that, you know, Lloris is steady Eddie, isn't he? Lloris is fairly steady Eddie.
Yeah. But it's an important position. It is an important position. So that's somewhere we need to start looking. Big Dave, the problem is he's got Romero in front of him now, who's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
well when Davinson Sanchez comes in to cover for him or Dyer, he's not putting a foot wrong. And as we said, the stats are bearing that out. So, you know, there's no talk about Sanchez going on loan or going on anywhere out of the team. And I like him. I think he's great. I think he's great cover. So there's good cover across those middle two. The wing backs does concern me. Like you said, Royal, spot on, defensively going forward. He just doesn't offer enough to take you to that next level we're looking to go to. That's the problem. Doherty had done great. and then got injured, and we've not seen him this season. Reguilon's gone out on loan. So wing backs, we maybe have to look at that coming up to this transfer window that finishes on Thursday. In the middle, again, Højbjerg, I thought he was fantastic today, but in a 2, in the system we play, it's tough for him. It's really tough because you've got to try and cover 2 roles there, Rick. That's the problem. And I don't know, if we get this central attacking midfielder, that may take a little bit of pressure off of what he's doing. So we've either got to stick with this formation that Conte likes to play and really upgrade at wing backs, or jig formation a little bit and bring in somebody as a cam and maybe one more. So there's some big decisions to be made between now and Thursday. But Højbjerg, I can't fault him today. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He played some delicious passes when he got a chance. But again, he's overloaded in a 2, absolutely overloaded. So this isn't the players, this is a system sometimes. So upgrade in the system or change the system.
It does feel like, as we've said, Rich, throughout the show, that we're going to need to have some adaptability in these next few weeks with that system, because Champions League, Premier League combined, we've got Carabao Cup kicking in from November. Conte is going to be tested now, isn't he? This season with those competitions. How can he navigate and continue us scoring goals? And I say, people are calling for, we want style and substance. Well, we might have to, as we've seen here, we might have to sacrifice an element of that. And again, that's not going to please everybody. That is just the nature of football. We discussed it earlier. Kulusevski today got an assist early to his name. I think, again, was a really bright showing from Kulusevski overall. And then Harry Kane, rightly, I think Harry should probably take the show to end it on for Harry. Again, score sheet on 5 minutes. Thankfully, atone for that missed penalty later on. But Harry Kane, the machine, as we've said now, homing in on Alan Shearer's record in terms of that Premier League 1. And I'm sure you wouldn't bet against him getting it. Right, guys. There you go. I think in terms of that review for Nottingham Forest, I think that's all we can give you now. Only an hour and 40 minutes of Nottingham Forest. What we are just going to quickly do, we will just go for our final break of the show for our listeners that are on audio. Taking you into this break on audio, we've been joined by the great Corey Kemp, who gives you his view. And we've also got Dan from West Ham Fan TV as we turn around very quickly, of course, to Cracker's favourite game of the season, West Ham, coming our way next. Right, for our watchers on YouTube, we've still got a good... Guys, thank you so much. 800, 900 with you still here, despite the absolute chaotic nature of Last Word on Spurs from the start and the composed nature of Russ Williams, Christina Zandes, and Richard Cracknell on this Last Word on Spurs. Guys, West Ham to come, of course, on Thursday. Now, just a little bit of insight for you, if you would be interested. Last Word on Spurs, we are going to be a day later than usual. I'm stuck up in a wedding in Newcastle from Tuesday to Wednesday, and yes.
Congratulations, Ricky.
Good news, Russ, it isn't mine, so I'm quite calm. But Last Word on Spurs means we will be recording on deadline day, so it'll be a West Ham review and any late signings coming our way. So that'll be interesting. But guys, I'm conscious, obviously, we're quite a few days away from team news. West Ham winning today against Aston Villa. Let's go to you, Christina, first. What do you think? West Ham to come? Look like they're just about to pick up form, cut the signings over the line. Lucas Paqueta looks close if it's not already announced. How do you feel about this London derby coming around very, very quickly?
I hate this because every time I say it, I feel like I'm cursing it. Screw it. I'm going to say it. All right. Should I say it? I think we're going to... I think we're going to win. I'm going to go with a 2-1.
Okay. What have you made of their start to the season, Christina, overall? I mean, because they seem to be getting better. I know they lost last week, but I think David Moyes said he wasn't too displeased with the performance. What do you make of them as a side at the moment? Again, they're going into the market fairly strongly with the signings they're making. Any concern for you there?
I mean, obviously, with the recent signing, it was big. But I watched them today. didn't really make much of him. So I just think Richarlison's going to go in there with him, and I hate saying it because I honestly feel like I'm cursing it every time I like try and be positive against like a derby like this. I think we're going to do it. I think we might just do it. And obviously with the lineup, I don't know if Conte is just maybe going to play a bit of mind games with it. I have no idea. I'm going to say 2. I think we're going to do it 2-1. I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's interesting, Russ, because he was adamant, I think, on the embargoed piece before this game that he's going to have to make changes. You know, he will have to rotate with the games coming. And he did make it very clear that Harry Kane will need to be rested. Now, Kane's coming off the back of another 2 goals. I can't imagine Harry Kane is rested for West Ham. I mean, what do you see changing, Russ, in that team for you ahead of West Ham? It is quite a quick turnaround for Tottenham. What do you think?
The only thing I can see is maybe, and it's going to be a big headline, Richarlison could start instead of Sonny, maybe. But I think it's going to be as you were. In fact, I'm sure it will be. And I don't mind saying it. I think we'll beat West Ham. We're a better football team than West Ham. They've got a very good manager. They've got individually some very good players. They've made some, shrewdish signings. But to me, Craig Dawson not being in that defence makes them weak. And I think we can exploit that. And I think we've definitely got the front three, whoever it may be, to do that. You just got to keep your head. You've got
very key.
60,000 crowing EastEnders there, with their bellies full of beer, ready for action like they do. But it's a cup final for them. For us, it's really just another Premier League game.
I've got to ask you, Russ. I must ask you this: if Romero is fit and Conte deems him to be fit, do you put him in that back 3, or do you keep with that defence, which is Davinson Sanchez now over 9 hours?
Great question.
Not conceding. What would you do?
Well, I would, because I think he's an absolutely brilliant world-class player, a defender. He's got that little bit, something of the night about him as well, like Richarlison, and he passes the ball out. But it is going to be a frantic game. And, if you bring him back and he gets another injury, with the Champions League coming up, it's a big shout there. I personally would play him, but maybe Conte won't. I think he might not.
Okay. Listen, imagine Richarlison and you got Richarlison and you and Romero on the same pitch against West Ham United away. God, could you imagine?
And Arsenal away. Don't forget, that's coming up.
This is right up Cracker Street. It really is. So, Russ, prediction, Russ, what are you going to go for? Prediction-wise for you?
3-1, Tottenham.
3-1, Tottenham. Okay, interesting. Cracks, we said Chelsea was the biggest test of the season so far. I mean, we were playing again, maybe a Chelsea side that was still in transition, looking to obviously bedding quite a few players there. West Ham, very similar, really. I mean, again, they've got Scamacca in there. Paqueta's going to be coming in. Again, this is falling on the eve of deadline day. So it'll be interesting to see how that does impact both sides in terms of maybe players going out. Rich, how do you feel going into that fixture? And what would you do in terms of that starting lineup? Would you be making any changes? How do you see Spurs approaching the game as well?
Well, I mean, with Romero, if he was in a coma and he was flickering an eye, you'd say he plays Wednesday night. Once he's back,
he would say that.
Back.
He would say that.
That's the person you need to take to that game, because you can forget the start to West Ham season. Villa are bobbins. Aston Villa are going to get skittled by everybody at the moment. They look absolutely shot to bits. Same as Bournemouth. There's 2 teams that are going to get skittled. So their win today comes as no surprise. But West Ham don't look great in the Premier League thus far this season until they play us. And it's as simple as that, Rick. It's their cup final. It always has been, it always will be, but it's not so much our cup final. So this is what you're up against, is a team that are giving you 1,000%, because if you don't win it at home, they'll feel it from the stands around the rented London stadium. They will absolutely feel it. So they go out there absolutely giving it everything. We don't feel it as much, but what we've got to do is begin to feel it. We've got to go and be professional. So I think it's going to be very similar to today. You know, a team that's right on top here, giving it everything, but ultimately not as good quality. So I would approach it exactly the same as we did today. Soak up the pressure, make your quality count when you counter. So let's see what happens. But if Romero's back, put him in. Put him in because he's an absolute Rolls Royce of a player. So I think the only change we're going to see is Big Dav for Romero. And then let's see. Let's get out there. I'd keep Son in the side as well. I mean, from Conte's comments this evening, I think he loves him to death. I don't think he's going to drop him. I think he'll keep him in now. And if he gets one, he's away. He really is. I'll back Conte, stick him with Son. I know a lot of people are calling him for him to be dropped. I'd stick with him. Give him an hour. Let's see how he does. If he gets one on 20 minutes, I bet he gets a second. I wouldn't be surprised if he even got a hat-trick. And if he's not tearing it up into the second half, guess what? Who's coming off the bench?
Oh, yes.
There you go. Right. I think that's the way we approach this game. Stick with your generals, and if it's not happening, then you just throw somebody else in. And that's Richarlison. And that's not a bad place to be, throwing him on. So, I'm confident we'll get the win now. I really am. I think I agree. As long as we don't get overawed by everything going on and we don't look like we do that anymore, that's a win for us, Rick. That's an absolute win for us.
All day long.
I agree. Cracks, let's get your prediction. What are we going for?
Do you know what? I'm going 3-1 Tottenham. Okay,
3-1 Spurs. Going with Russ. Guys, conscious time. We've nearly done 2 hours. Thank you so much for all your support for Last Word on Spurs. Honestly, been incredible. Cracks, I know you've got Glenn Hoddle to come. Remind me, Friday? When have we got Glenn? When are you?
Yes, next Friday down in Camberley. I'm doing an evening with Glenn Hoddle.
Are we sold out or still tickets going?
There's vapors, absolute vapors left of tickets. So if you want to come along, you get a 3-course meal, some drinks, meet and greet, professional photo, and you even get me boring him to death with like an hour's worth of questions. So if you want to come along, at Mr. Cracknell, I'll put the details up. That's next Friday. And then I've got Michael Dawson at Dartford FC the week after. Ian Holloway as well down in the Forest of Dean. So look, I'll put all the nights up at Mr. Cracknell. Come and have a look. They're good nights. I know money's tight, but they're good value for money. So if you want a night out, away from your gas and electric bills, I'll offer you some good value for money.
I am conscious. Lots of people asking, is there a shit quiz? I'm very conscious that with Russ and Christina, we've gone for nearly 2 hours here. I don't think we can put them through for 2. I can see Russ is a nod of a no for Russ on a shit quiz. Russ, love to have you back on Last Word on Spurs.
Thank you for having me.
Honestly, been an absolute pleasure. Where can everybody find the wonderful content you provide?
Nation Radio tomorrow, 10 a.m. DAB, online, all the usual apps, everywhere you go. Playing great music, bit of a laugh, and all over the UK, Scotland, Wales, England, and beyond. So that's what I'll be doing. Thank you, Rick, and lovely to meet you, Christina. Crackers, good to see you again, and thank you to everyone watching and for all the comments that have come through. It's fantastic.
Yeah, there's so much love for all you guys here. And
Rick, I said, Russ's voice is like liquid honey being poured in your ear, isn't it? Yeah, I would kill for a voice like Russ Williams. He's honestly, he's so soothing.
I guarantee it. He would go and put my little one to bed. He's going to wake up in half hour and I'll take over other duties. You watch. I could do Russ. I could do Russ at 12:30 at night. That'd be brilliant, I tell you.
Why can't we have blue wine, by the way? Why does it have to be red? Just a point.
I love it. Christina, been an absolute pleasure having you on to make your debut. I must say, Christina, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
And Cracks saved the day in the last half hour or so. Thank you. Been an absolute pleasure. Where can we find and check you out for all your thoughts and opinions on Spurs?
All on Twitter. I'm moaning all the time about Spurs. So I'm there.
Don't worry, style of play. They'll be up there now for what's all going on. But like I say, we're looking forward to welcoming Christina, Russ, and of course Cracks back throughout many games we've got to come. 3 in a week. So listen, they'll be back with us very, very soon. But again, from the wonderful Mr. Cracknell, who will start off as host, who will continue as host, I'm sure, throughout the season as well. Thank you so much. Christina Zandes, thank you so much. And the wonderful Russ Williams. Guys, thank you so much for all of your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. Please, as always, keep safe, keep well. We're back with you on Thursday night for a deadline day special and a West Ham review. And as always, come on, you Spurs.